Hey guys, what's going on? Steve here for another video. I think this is going to be like one of my last alien videos I'm going to be posting for a while until I want to start making some more. I don't know what I'm going to start switching to. I'll probably switch to different Reddit stories, not just only aliens or only ghosts, goblins, and all the spookies. And with that, I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you don't get shanked by a rusty spoon. Okay, guys. I hope you guys had a great day. We're gonna start this off with, I think, a decent story. Okay, I've read a little bit of it. It seems pretty good, and with that, let's get into it. I don't know where to start. Maybe the most enlightening experience I've had my whole entire life. I used to talk about these things with strangers and anyone who's willing to listen. I've become a little more reserved from being hurt, a few times opening up. It seemed to me like the more I would try to inform people about what happened, the more experiences there would be. There would be guys like named Adam that I was hanging around with for a while. I took him home from a friend's apartment one night around 3 to 4 a.m. Okay, every single time anyone gets abducted, it's from 2 o'clock to 4 a.m., okay? I don't understand why this is so consistent. Do they just have, I can guarantee they have separate times. The smart aliens that live on Uranus, 1,000% have their daytime schedules. That's why, because their rush, or their 5 a.m. rush time, or rush hour, whatever you want to call it, that's time for them. 3 to 4 a.m. our time. Anyway, so with that, I think you guys have enough information on aliens not to go outside at 3 or 4 a.m. o'clock, because literally nothing good happens. The worst thing that could happen, besides getting abducted by aliens or getting probed by them, or having Bigfoot come up to you and take you out to a romantic dinner, is probably seeing a Karen speed walking fiercely and running into you. Okay, because if you run into her, you know you're already going to hear the manager, all of the great Karen excuses. Well, they're not excuses, but you really don't want to see a Karen at 3 to 4 a.m. Because we know if you're doing something at 3 a.m. to 4 a.m., it's definitely not good. Nothing happens at 3 to 4 a.m. that's good, right? It's like, oh yeah, man, let's go carefully walk around the neighborhood and go look if there's any danger at 3 to 4 a.m. No one does that, okay? Maybe Paul Blart, but besides him, you're chilling. Anyway, so yeah, just take some advice from there. Which is normal for the time period, since I was sleeping until 4 a.m. in the afternoon. 4 p.m. in the afternoon. I had been trying to talk to people about this stuff nonstop. When I took him to the house, we chilled and smoked in the driveway for a minute. All of a sudden, an intensely bright light appeared over the hills that was less than a mile away from us and at his house, and we were both immediately drawn to it. I started looking around, seeing if there was anything else happening, and I looked up above us. There's two orbs pivoting around, and I knew the attention to them. I told him that I felt they showed us the bright light to try to gauge our response. And we looked up and waved the orb. Then all of a sudden, the sky came to life. Must have been 3 dozen orbs flying around in every direction and over the horizon. Streaks starting off. It was definitely a spiritual experience. I have had a couple more experiences with orbs. I was on a friend's back porch who lived near me, and he and I were very interested in the topic. We were sitting there chatting, and this bright light, maybe a couple hundred yards away from started drifting across the sky very slowly, very slow and silent. As it drifted, it brightened intensely to the point where it was hard to look up directly at it. It was an orange light in colors. It stayed in a couple of seconds and then slowly faded out, and we just looked at each other in awe. That happens there were a couple more times, once upon request. Naturally, people made fun of me, claiming for these things to happen to me. We were trying to explain to a couple of my friends what had happened when we had seen the orb, and they just didn't believe us. So I said, "You want to see a UFO? Come over here." No idea why I was feeling so cocky. We get back to the back porch, and the first experience happened, and sure enough, the bright light up again and did the same thing. I've only had people come with me for a few of my experiences. I developed my own thoughts about what had happened to me, or its origins, and why me. After the first big experience happened with 5 crafts, I jumped online and started doing some research. I feel almost as if it was led to this. I found this thing called rebellion belief or intelligent design. It was basically states that ETs seeded humans' life on Earth through genetic manipulation, and we will eventually become so advanced that we will see life on our other planets. It is very closely aligned with an ancient astronaut theory. It states that ETs have played a role in the development of human civilization in multiple ways. The way the rebellion believe started in the way that Dude Rail, who claims that he saw UFOs land in dormant volcanoes in the 70s. He said that approached the craft and out came a small humanoid like ET that educated him about how all the religions were wrong and stemmed from ancient ET misinterpretations. When I looked at it closer, when you think of an instance of like Ezekiel being lifted onto the heavens, chariots of fire in the sky, or light that guided Moses through the desert, it's not that difficult to attribute it to ETs. And an interesting thing was that ET told him that every major prophet of every religion was manipulated by ETs via thought implantation to instill spirituality beliefs and compel them to share their beliefs and spirituality with others. I'm not saying that I believe any of this, but the more that I can spread the word about my experiences, the more they seem to happen. I can probably write a book about all this stuff. Lol. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but do you guys believe in aliens or not? Personally, I don't know. I genuinely have no idea. I'm not saying any of these things are true. I'm not saying any of these things are false. If ETs or aliens or whatever you want to call them are actually real, then cool. If they're not, cool. It doesn't really affect me at all either way. With that, let's get into the next story. Ed Ray WV, one night a few years ago, back with my friends who was still driving, and I were talking with his girlfriend home, when he decided to take the long way home. As we were driving along this fairly deserted back road, I began to zone out, and I stared at this blinking red light off the distance and casually think to myself, I wonder why there's cell towers all the way out there, when suddenly it blinks, and dramatically closer than it was the moment earlier. At this point, my friend points it out and stops in the road. It blinks one more time and directly in front of over the top of us. The red light is so bright and floods the car's deep scarlet hue. I lean forward so that I can see directly into the light. In that brief moment, I feel a flood of negative emotions. The closest description I can offer is that being naked underneath a giant microscope and having every pore examined thoroughly. I then look away from the light to my friend and ask him to drive. He barely responds, apparently in a similar state. Then he snaps out of. He starts to drive. As we get a little way down the road, I notice the red light isn't fading, and the interior of the car is still clearly lit by it. I look out the window. To my horror, the light is still following us. Approximately 1 to 2 miles, the light unexpectedly veers off to the road, comes down to the group level to patch the trees, adjustments to the road. My friend stops the car again and continues to stare out. Abruptly declares he's going to get out, and then I look at him in some sort of trance. He opens the door. I grab his arm and tell him if he does, I will get in the driver's seat and leave him. That's when we had to leave in that instant. He took at me, and then he seemed to come to a punches the gas so hard and the tires lose traction and spin. The light remains stationary as we rode away, but I've never looked at the night sky the same.